Well, good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Allan British Open Squash Championships. We now know the makeup of the women's final, Laura Massaro against Nicole David. Now it's the turn of the men. Two semi-finals for you this afternoon. The first of them is ready, so let me please introduce you to the players. And first on court, he joined the pro ranks in 2006 as a 15-year-old schoolboy. He has been at the top level ever since. Twice a world junior champion, 3 times a winner of the British Junior Open. His first PSA World Tour title came in 2010 when he beat Tariq Momen in the final of the India Challenger event. He's also a World Championship runner-up. To reach the last 4 here in Hull, in his last match, he beat Matteo Castanet in 4 games. He is the world number 3. Representing Egypt, would you welcome Mohamed ElShorbagy? And his opponent is the reigning and 3-time world champion, 3-time British Open champion. He's also a 6-time British national champion. He's appeared in the World Team Championship 6 times, and in 2013 he led England to a win over the favourites Egypt. He's been in more than 50 PSA finals. He's the reigning PSA Player of the Year. And he enjoyed a win over Faraz Dasuki in straight games in the quarter-finals. He is the world number 2, representing England. Let's hear it for Nick Matthew.
So both players on court as we take the first couple of photos with the young mascots there. Mohamed ElShorbagy is featuring a lot now in these World Series semi-finals. Let's hear what the young Egyptian had to say about this prestigious tournament and his run through.
Of course, being in the semi-final of the British for the first time as well is a great feeling. Have been playing well here, and I got where my seedings is, you know. But of course, I'm not just here to try and only get to the semis. I'm gonna, of course, wanna go all the way. Yeah, of course, Jonah has been. He won it 6 times. I have been speaking on the phone with him every day, of course. And I would love to just put my name on that title at least once, like how he did 6 times, you know, putting my name on that same trophy that he did. It would be just great. It has such a great history, this tournament, and it would just be an amazing feeling to be able to just tell him I won this tournament like how he did, you know. Nick is such an amazing player. He's one of the greatest now on tour, on the game, and I have such great respect for him and for his achievement, and maybe yeah, I have won the last 2 times we have played, but still, you know, I didn't beat him in a World Open or a British Open, and those 2 tournaments are always different than any other tournaments, because I always believe that at the British and at the World Open, the top 4 guys are the toughest to beat in those 2 tournaments, especially because we know that these are the 2 tournaments that people remember you for when you win them.
Mohamed ElShorbagy is at his career high world ranking of number 3, and he really is cementing himself there if he keeps making semi-finals and finals of World Series events. He's only lost 1 game so far. He's pretty much cruised into this semi-final stage, 163 minutes on court. He's coming into this pretty fresh. Well, there's 10 years in age between Mohamed ElShorbagy and Nick Matthew. Nick Matthew has won this event 3 times previously. It's pretty much in his own backyard, being in Yorkshire. Let's hear what the Wolf had to say about this tournament and his performances.
Yeah, the British Open is the reason why I'm a professional squash player, simple as that. I used to go to Wembley, watch Jahangir Khan, Janshir Khan down there, and just amazing memories. It's the reason as I said, I took the game up professionally. I was like, I want to be there. To win the title first time in 2006 was just, I had to pinch myself, you know, that my name was on there with those sort of players, and it was a real surreal feeling, and you know, we really want to add to that. This tournament has that special vibe, that special feel. Yeah, I played Ferris Dasuki in the quarter-final, and it was a real sort of eye-opener playing someone 19 years old who's that strong, mentally strong as well, physically. He's going to be a great player over the next decade, I'm sure, and nice to get a win in before he sort of gets too good, and hopefully I'll be long retired by the time he really gets to the top, because you know I had to use a bit of experience there to get through the last 2 games, and you know he's a name that we'll be hearing a lot of for sure. I wish I was that good when I was that young. We played Mohamed today in the semi-final. Obviously big match. Mohamed is 23, but he seems like he's been around forever already. You know, he's got a lot of experience to go with his sort of youthfulness. You know, very aggressive player, very mentally strong, physically strong. He's beaten me in 5 hard games the last twice we've played, so I had to go away, do my homework, come up with a new strategy, sort of tweak. Obviously wasn't too far away both times, but I've had to tweak it and try to work on a plan, and I know just how incredibly tough it's going to be. I know how much he wants it, and if I can match that, hopefully that experience that I've got will sway it my way.
So Matthew winning this event back in 2006, 2009 and 2012. He's lost only 2 games so far in this event, and he's spent 157 minutes on court. So he's come into this semi-final reasonably well. He looked a bit under par in the earlier rounds, but I think physically looking a lot stronger, and I'm sure that the crowd here will get behind the local player. Well, joining me in the commentary box for both men's semi-finals, we have the former world number 3, Simon Parkey. It should be an absolute double billing there. I mean, those 4 names involved, it's perfect.
It is. It's going to be a great afternoon for the crowd here in Hull, and I know we're both really looking forward to both matches, especially after last night, which was a little bit disappointing. But this first match is going to be phenomenal. Mohamed ElShorbagy is in great form. Nick Matthew, as you said earlier, has been a little bit under par in the first couple of rounds, but hopefully he's going to get back that physicality that we know him so well for, and it's going to be a cracker.
It will be. Parky, I'm going to put you on it, and you know it and you love it. After we looked at the draw, you're going to predict who's going to win this match.
Okay.
So here we have the draw into the semi-final stage. There was that Dasuki, who was a qualifier from Egypt, 19 years of age. Matthew dealing with him 3-love, which was a bit of a relief for Matthew. ElShorbagy, a battle with Castagnet. He was another giant killer in this event. So 2 names to look forward to for future, for sure. Castagnet been around that bit longer. In the bottom half, a short sweeping pass, a slightly laboured James Walshrop, and unfortunately Omar Shabana, who's been in wonderful form, having to retire due to food poisoning with Gregory Gaultier. So the Matthew Shorbagy and then a short Gaultier semi-finals. Well, you haven't got away with it, Mr. Park. Who's going to win this first match and by what score?
Well, as a fellow Yorkshireman, my heart wants to go with Nick Matthew, and I did actually pick him at the beginning of this tournament, but I don't think he's looked as sharp as he has done in the past, so I'm going to go with my head and pick Mohamed ElShorbagy in this particular match, 3-1.
3-1. And there he is. He is massively hungry. The beast of Alexandria. And it's just a chasm of hunger that you just can't feel. He's getting through these rounds into semi-finals, into finals, and the other scary thing is he's backing up. There you can see a very jovial David Pearson. It looks like he's drinking, yeah, there's a nice bottle of water. But always looking, and then Nick Matthews' wife, Esme Matthew, and Nick Matthews' mum just twitching a little bit there, very excited but slightly nervous. And from our beauty shot here, Parky, the backstand, which is prolific in this British Open, completely and utterly packed to the rafters. So we should have an electrifying atmosphere. It's ridiculously hot outside. There's a heat wave in Hull, which is astonishing. It's astonishing.
You couldn't believe it, Joey, when you came up
I
there.
could not believe
25 degrees.
But with all these people in this arena and with the temperature we have outside, it's going to be very bouncy on that court.
Well, it feels hot in the commentary area here, so running around.
You're looking a little bit rouge. A little bit pink.
You've got a bit of a dab on there. Would you
little
like a
bit
towel?
I have a sheen, you have a pinkness.
Well, I'm normally very white, so that's a bit better than normal.
Alam British Open.
Oh, Ralph Heidenberg is taking charge of this one.
Semi-final. Nick Matthew, England, serving. Mohamed ElShorbagy, Egypt, receiving. Best of 5 games. Lovell.
So the calm before the storm. Nick Matthew kicking off this first semi-final of Alam British Open 2014.
So what do you think then, Joe? What's your prediction here? It's
Yes,
a difficult one to call, isn't it?
Lovell.
Oh, it's very difficult, which makes it brilliant. It's
Yeah.
superb because
So tight.
Yeah. You want that, you know, in any round. I mean, you've seen the rounds, people getting beat in the top seeds, and the strength in depth is getting more and more, which is wonderful for the sport. But at the top end, these top 4 particularly have created a bit of a gulf. And what's very exciting is we call him the rising danger, which he is, ElShorbagy. He's getting so much closer. He's beaten Nick Matthew a couple of times now. In the World Series, he beat him in Richmond, Virginia. He beat him in the Qatar Classic in October. He's beaten Gaultier. He hasn't beaten Ashore, but he's got close, very close.
Well, that World Championships particularly, wasn't it?
In
The
Qatar,
final there.
One left.
So he's thrown the cat amongst the pigeons a bit and rustled them up, and they're all slightly heightened. And then you've got the added flavour of Ramy Ashore now healthy and injury-free. So, but in terms of this match, which is obviously present, I'm going to go for ElShorbagy 3-2.
Another 3-2, a third 3-2 in a row. That would be great for the crowd here. And as you say, yeah, he has beaten Nick Matthew twice, 3-2, and to do it in that sort of physical way, the way he plays, he's the first guy, I think, to really take on Nick Matthew at a fast, powerful game.
I mean, we know Ramy Ashore does it, but Ramy Ashore dips in and out of an unbelievably quick game, and then a controlled, slow. I mean, he does everything. He encompasses everything, Ramy Ashore. That's because he is who he is. But from that raw physicality, like you said, he's the only player I've actually seen Nick Matthew get further and further back in the court, like he's being continually punched. That analogy, and then he's on the ropes, and then he just completely, ends up.
Which is what he does to everyone else. So he's getting some of his own medicine here.
And he can see it with ElShorbagy. He's said it a few times in his interviews that ElShorbagy couldn't care less if Nick Matthew is a world champion and #1 seed. It's about winning. He's got that edge to him.
Absolutely, and in that interview just before the match with Nick Matthew, he was saying he was going away and tweaking his game a little bit to play specifically Mohamed ElShorbagy, because he has lost to him twice, and he very rarely loses to a player twice in a row.
Well, he's so stubborn, Matthew. He took time off after winning a smaller event in London, the Canary Wharf Classic. He went through straight games there. He looked brilliant. He had a little bit of a break and then trained again to refresh himself for this event particularly, and he has got a knack of peaking for the World Championships and British Open superbly well.
And out, 3-1.
But ElShorbagy will be playing cute. He'll be playing in waves. He's not going to completely bludgeon all the time. The key for ElShorbagy is, and it sounds so simple and easy, it's not rocket science, but keeping the ball above the tin. Because he's got that extra positive, he's got the artillery, so he's got the artillery to really trouble Matthew as well at the front.
Yeah.
That can also become his problem, as you know, in terms of when he's going to go into those areas. If he starts making unforced errors, Matthew won't return the favour.
Absolutely not.
But he's definitely working nicely along here because Matthew's being kind of moved all the time.
Yes, lad.
Well, he sends in that boast. I've noticed this week he really hammers in the boast on both sides, very, very low. And he does it quite late as well, so it's very difficult to read. And it really pulls the opponent far forward. I was just talking a bit with his coach Adrian Stiff yesterday and asking him a bit about the sessions that they do together, and he says it's really rewarding and enjoyable. He's just talking a little bit about the character of ElShorbagy. He can work on one thing for a while, and then I think possibly a little bit like Ramy Ashour, he gets a little bit bored and he wants to try something new and move on, and just keep doing things and buzzing around. So it was quite interesting to hear Adrian Stiff talk about that.
Well, after leaving Milford School under the tutelage and mentorship of Jonah Barrington, he moved up to Bristol, where Adrian Stiff is based, the former PSA World Tour player Adrian Stiff. He's got his young academy there,
Yes, left.
Elite Squash, and he's been doing a lot of excellent work with ElShorbagy, a lot of movement-based
3-1.
work, which Adrian seems to focus on. And it's helped him massively. And then obviously he has the ability to be able to speak to Jonah Barrington whenever he wants, and he does pretty much nearly every day. So he's got somebody like Adrian Stiff who's very functional and always on court with him, and then Jonah Barrington on the end of the phone. So he's
Oh, what a mentor.
he's doing well with
yeah.
the southwest side of things. Anyway, the only thing he hasn't done is develop a West Country accent, but that will come.
Yeah, we're not quite calling him a Wurzel yet, are we, Jonah? Joey, we call him Jonah then. One day, maybe.
4-1.
Well, you can't call him. You know, a lot of the squash players do. I mean, he's called the Beast from Alexandria. He can't be called the Wurzel from Bristol.
The Beast from Bristol.
The Beast from Bristol. Bristolian Beast.
Yeah, that works.
Well, ElShorbagy is taking charge of this beginning of this first game at 4-1.
Down.
And the errors are creeping in from Nick Matthew. I've been very impressed with the start here from ElShorbagy. He's hitting fantastic lines, and he's
5-1.
really pressuring Nick Matthew. He's hardly putting a foot wrong. You see that, just going a little bit fine there on the backhand, Nick Matthew. And that's a good hold. That was another thing that Adrian Stiff was talking about. We all know about Mohamed ElShorbagy's power and speed, but
Hand
he's
out.
been working a little bit on the hold
2-5.
and disguise side of his game. And that was a good finish from Nick Matthew, and quite encouraging to the Yorkshire crowd.
Not out.
Well, that was thunderous and very, very severe.
3-5.
And there you see Adrian Stiff in there with the red collars and the black t-shirt there.
And next to him, Omar El-Borolossi, who is very similar in his outward appearance to one of our Squash TV crew. However, a slight
left.
difference in level of squash between the two of them.
Hand out.
It's important for
6-3.
ElShorbagy to get that point again, to try and block the momentum of Matthew. It's really keeping Matthew moving here. That's an outrageous shot. I mean, he was doing that shot with that power range when he was 16 years old. ElShorbagy, look at this.
7-3.
Completely wallops it in. The whole body moves with the shot, but the head stays pretty still.
Well, the thing about him is there's just no fear, is there, Joey? He's just so brave on these shots. Again, there, absolutely no fear. There's no nerves. He's such a
8-3.
fantastic performer. He's a real big match player already, ElShorbagy. And he will be for a long time, but so is Nick Matthew. And that's a wonderful volley.
The one
And
thing
out.
about Matthew is that
4-8.
He'll be playing every point like match point. And he is so stubborn in his approach to this game. Ferociously obsessive. But if he doesn't win this first game, he's got to try to come out of it with some positive squash that will give him that bit more encouragement into the match. See, he's just trying to slow the pace down, Matthew, using a lot of height on that front wall. Doesn't want to play particularly fast with ElShorbagy, which is interesting.
Yes, left.
Do you think that's what he was talking about in the interview, about tweaking his game, just to slow it down a little bit, vary the pace a bit more?
I mean, he's always tweaking. He had to tweak his game when he started really attacking Ramy Ashour and getting stuck into Ramy Ashour. There's a few things he was changing. So, I mean, he's always watching and trying to evolve. And he's had these players like Ramy Ashour and Gregory Gaultier that have kept him into that kind of focus.
Well, it's great that they've been around, really, isn't it?
And
It's a golden era, and
It is a golden era, for
they've
sure.
really pushed him along and kept him going, kept him interested, and given him a challenge at the top. It's fantastic that he's so fit at 34 and still world champion.
Well, exactly, defending world champion.
Down.
He makes the unforced error there. So with that shot, Mohamed ElShorbagy
10-4.
serving with 6 game balls to take this first. Well, that is
11-4.
a quite beautiful shot from ElShorbagy.
ElShorbagy leads one
Outright
game to
winner
love.
in the back of the court. Highly skilled. So in the first semi-final, just 12 minutes in duration between these two heavyweights. It's ElShorbagy that takes it 11-4. He leads by 1 game to love.
Well, Mohamed ElShorbagy just pressing and hitting fantastic lines, really striking the ball well and not making any errors. Nick Matthews starting a little bit slower. Wonderful winner there, showing glimpses of his greatness, but really it was all about the young Egyptian player. He was all over the court here. Wonderful movement and touch, as well as fantastic power. And Nick Matthew just trying to push away and give 100%, of course, as we expect from him, but Mohamed ElShorbagy giving the fist pump, 1-0 up.
You just see Mohamed ElShorbagy getting a fresh tee-shot on. There's his mother. And Hadrian Stiff, who we can't really see at the moment, but he is there. Very, very different approach to this corner here, where you've got David Pearson. Nick Matthew always elects to stand up. He doesn't sit down ever in between games. He always keeps upright. Usually a two-way conversation with his coach, David Pearson.
He always likes to talk a lot, doesn't he, Nick, in between games?
I've always been intrigued to know what Mohamed's mother actually says to him. Always looks like she's telling him off.
I think she's just there for support, isn't she? I mean, with Hadrian Stiff, as we both know very well, he'll be doing a lot of talking, and Mohamed just sits there and takes it all in. He's used to having his mum around, so.
Oh, he certainly is, Buck. He's certainly used to having his mum around, that's for sure. But ElShorbagy looking in good order. I thought possibly the first game would be longer in duration. It's 12 minutes between these guys is pretty short, but. I think now Matthew, he has to make a mark in this second game. He's got to get some solid rallies under his belt. He's the one that's actually made quite a few unforced errors.
Well, we're expecting at least a 20-minute game, I think, in the first game, especially with how hot it is in here as well. But Mohamed ElShorbagy started so incredibly well. He's been like a hurricane, really. And Nick Matthew made, I think, 4 or 5 unforced errors in that game, which he can't afford.
It's a lot of free points to give to one of the best players in the world. So it's pretty evident that Matthew's not looking to play in that usual pace of his unless he starts to change things again in this second game. But he was kind of using height and slightly backing off, enabling ElShorbagy to dictate the play.
not sure if this is a tactic to slow it down, etc. that Nick Matthew is trying to do. I'm not sure it's the right tactic because he's backing off. He's saying to his opponent that I'm having to change my natural game that I've been playing so successfully for 10 years, if not longer, and I'm 3 times world champion. I'm giving you that much respect that I have to change my game. He doesn't do it to anyone else. And Mohamed ElShorbagy, as you say, is getting more time around the middle and is able to just keep on doing what he does, and he's adding more variation as well on top of the immense power. So whether it's just a tactic of Nick Matthew because in this particular tournament he's been a little bit under par, or whether it's a general thing, remains to be seen.
1 love.
Well, the first time Mohamed ElShorbagy actually beat Nick Matthew was in the Canary Wharf Classic. ElShorbagy was still at school. He was 17 years old. So old then. 17 years old. He was playing what it's called the BSPA circuit party, which he played a few over, the British Professional Squash Association, which is gives players a step up. He was playing that circuit. What, 15 years old, he was travelling off, going up to Scotland. I think you probably came across him,
I actually played him in Boston, yeah, when he was 15.
Boston, Lincolnshire.
The Boston Open, yeah, the BSPA, on the Saturday morning, which would have been the quarterfinals. I actually managed to beat him, but he was 15. But I knew he was going to be really tough to beat because he'd just beaten a guy called Ben Ford, who we all know in the squash world to be a very skillful and a difficult player, and I was very impressed that he'd got through against him 3-2. So I had to be on my mettle. And he was the same size as he is now, just not quite as strong. And obviously didn't have the experience he has now. And intelligence around the court.
Well, this is ridiculous coverage. It's like a short game. And there's the forehand, but Matthew staying very solid so far. He's starting to spark up a little bit, I feel, Nick Matthew. Oh, he loves that. It's well played. That's Matthew Patton. You see, putting in the bows, catching ElShorbagy slightly flat-footed, and then the width not wide enough. And this is the strength zone of Matthew.
3-1.
He can hit those all day long.
And the important thing there was that he just got the ball running, didn't he? It hit the front wall, then the floor, and went back instead of clipping the side wall, which a lot of people do when they hit that shot.
He was just quizzing the referee there. He was gesticulating with his hands on the a possible double bounce, but play goes on. That was in the past rally. All balls were actually fine.
Wow. That's a clever shot from Nick Matthew. He took it very late, slightly behind himself on that forehand, and took Mohamed ElShorbagy completely by surprise. The ball was behind him. That's wonderfully accurate. Nice to see the applause there from ElShorbagy.
Well, in that last camera shot, I'm sure we'll go back to see Ellery Hanley, who's a huge squash fan, and he loves watching Nick Matthew.
Also, Tony Smith was there, I noticed, the manager of Warrington Wolves. There's a big rugby league and squash connection, isn't there?
Well, you can understand why, dropping the shoulder, the physicality.
Yes, lad. It's room to play.
Yeah, I want to play that, but I can't. If he's kicking me, moving me, I have to be balanced.
Yeah.
I have to be balanced.
Yeah. Please play on. 4-1.
Matthew, sorry, Joey.
Well, Matthew saying he has to be balanced, he wants to play it, and Hamid is kicking him and doing everything, and Mohamed's saying, I'm not kicking you. It's a bit petulant, it's a bit like two young lads at the playground. Nick does like to use a bit of gamesmanship here and there. Mohamed ElShorbagy very hard-nosed, as we know. So, and streetwise.
Absolutely.
He was streetwise at 15 when he was walking around Boston.
Absolutely.
Lincolnshire.
Eating pies.
Very unusual place, that place. If he was kicking Nick Matthew, you'd certainly feel it, because Mohamed ElShorbagy's got some of the biggest feet I've ever seen. Always.
Well, did you get that?
Down.
That's his favourite
Pick up.
shot there. He's going to appeal
Ball was
that.
good.
It was one of his favourite shots, where he drops the racket head at the last moment. So
5-1.
oh, he got it.
Yeah, it's a great pickup.
It's a brilliant
Right box,
pickup.
please.
Superb by Matthew. Fighting away here. What a response by the current world champion. 5-1 in this second game.
Very encouraging to Nick Matthew that he's squeezing some errors from ElShorbagy now. Extending the rallies a little.
I do love all the variation that's going on over the last few years. There was that phase where, with the lower tier, and obviously the racket's getting bigger, that it was this real kind of hard-hitting, fast, furious game, which it still is, don't get me wrong, you can see that there. However, the front wall now with these top players is being utilised like it used to be in the old times.
And out.
The lobs, all the variations, all the kind of shots down the
2-5.
middle. It's brilliant. It's all kind of come as one now, isn't it? It's like a complete game.
It's fantastic to see, and these two players on court now are two of the greatest exponents of the modern game.
So this is that rip-roaring physicality of ElShorbagy. The one thing about ElShorbagy, when the rallies become slightly more adventurous and energetic, that's where he actually produces his best squash.
Well, he gets really inspired, doesn't he? And we've seen actually a couple of trick shots from him over the years as well, the last couple of years.
Oh my goodness me.
Not up. The ball was not up. The ball was not up.
Well, ElShorbagy is convinced he got that.
And out.
Well, the shot was an outrage.
We all
that was a
agree.
double bounce.
Please play on.
It was an unbelievable shot by Matthew. Let's have a look at this again.
And
You're the one
out.
with 20/20 vision, Parky.
Ken.
Yeah, but
No,
the
that,
vision's good, but not that good.
I think that hit the floor. We've had it confirmed by our analysis team that actually hit the floor.
Well, ElShorbagy's still convinced he got it from the video.
Amazing. We've had it confirmed by the analysis team. Nick Matthews asking Ken Narain. Ken Narain's just saying
Ken
yes
was
to
asleep.
anything. Well, no, he's just saying yes to anyone that says anything. He just says yes.
Yeah. Well, his hair's still the same colour.
It is.
Which is good.
It is. He was sunning himself nicely earlier today. This is the replay. This is the pickup. This is a brilliant shot from Matthew. Oh, that's a massive
And
double.
out.
Yeah.
Woo! It's a huge double. So we've got that confirmed. So the right decision made.
6-2.
Matthew serving at 6-2. Got a match on our hands. Simon Park.
Yeah, it's a great response, as you said, from Nick Matthew, the 3 times world champion, and that's what we expect from this great player from Sheffield. I like to keep mentioning the Yorkshire thing.
I know, seeing as so you were born in Rutland.
I'm a Rutlander.
Stroke to ElShorbagy.
You're a
Video
rutter.
review, please. The Matthew on the stroke decision.
Our first video review of this first semi-final. So the original decision being a stroke, there's no way that ElShorbagy can play that without taking Matthew's arm off, really.
Well, it was an awful shot
Well,
from Nick
it's
Matthew, wasn't it? I
clear
think that's got to
stroke.
be a stroke.
It's got to stay as a stroke.
Straight in the middle.
Well, it's so dangerous. He can't hit that. It's impossible. Correct
Stroke
decision.
Decision upheld. Mr. Matthew has no review remaining. And out. 3-6.
Nick Matthews got to be careful here, because we know sport's all about momentum, isn't it? And this is where ElShorbagy's going to make a bit of a charge now, I think.
Oh, he's got to.
Yeah.
And you can just sense it though, can't you?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And you can see by his movements and his body language. Well, Nick Matthew thinks that's down, but it was a fabulous shot. A fabulous shot. You can see very clearly from here.
Ball was
A
good.
millimetre above the tin.
All good.
This is bizarre. They really are getting their calls right. Matthew's chatting away. You can see that a little bit of gamesmanship going on again.
4-6.
Mentally so savvy. 4-6. So Shorbagy comes again. Shorbagy leaping onto that ball, slightly heavy from Matthew. Exchanges, that wasn't the best of shots.
5.
Couple of poor
6.
exchanges for this level, but then Shorbagy tidying up. 5-6.
Well, I would say it's hotting up, Joey, but it's already pretty hot. I think really Nick Matthew has to try and stem this comeback somehow, but that's not going to do it. A lot of errors for the Yorkshireman
6-all.
by his standards.
Tremendous comeback here from ElShorbagy. Well, he's starting to really strike the ball with a lot of power now. ElShorbagy's bounding up to that tee line.
Down.
And there's another unforced error. Now Matthew's going short from so far back in the court. We see this replay. ElShorbagy's going
7-6.
forward anyway, so that would have to be inch perfect. And that's quite uncharacteristic of Matthew, that shot selection there.
Well, he doesn't speculate, does he, normally? It's extremely speculative, that shot. And Nick Matthew, usually a man who has everything planned out. Doesn't leave anything to chance. But against ElShorbagy, it's so difficult to keep the plan.
That was a massive shot because it was coming at him awkwardly here. We see it juts out Matthew
7-all.
like a kind of swatting or like a delicate fanning or whatever. Maybe not swatting, that's a bit more hardcore. Fanning it into the nick.
Well, that was good hands from Nick Matthew.
Very
he
good
actually
hands.
does, when he plays a drive sometimes, we were talking about the other day, he turns his shoulders and does that on the hard drive, doesn't he?
What rolls the shoulders over and the wrist, but he made that look pretty easy. Certainly wasn't. So Matthew gets his first point for a long, long time as we start to hit the business end of this second.
Yes, left.
Yeah, it's a good decision there. Nick Matthew hoping
7-all.
he may be given a stroke there, but it's a very good decision from the referees. No complaints. So what do you think, Joey, of the tactics from Nick Matthew? Do you think there's much of a change, or it's the right, if there is, it's the right change?
I mean, I think he's made some of his shot selections haven't been right. And as you said, he usually has everything planned out. So
Yes, left.
sometimes that comes when somebody's physically
It's
not
enough
confident in
room to
themselves.
play.
Matthew's game is a physical game. That's the whole point. That's the whole basis of his game. And he hasn't looked
7-all.
that physically strong throughout this tournament for whatever reasons.
Explain it to you, please play on.
So therefore he's kind of playing out of his comfort zone in terms of shot selections, which he wouldn't usually do, hence making errors. I don't see a definite plan that's clear-cut from Matthew at the moment. It's quite hard because ElShorbagy doesn't really ever keep to anything. I mean, he can play steadily and quite conservatively, and then suddenly it goes all over the place. I mean, he doesn't really have, certainly doesn't play in a sound rhythm all the time.
Absolutely not. Well, it's all about Shorbagy, isn't it? I think a little bit like Ramy, when you play Ramy, it's all about Ramy and Shore. So a completely different style of game, but tends to be the problem against this guy.
Amazing, Matthew.
Shorbagy does tend to play that shot a lot, doesn't he? More than any other player.
Well, to be able to play it, you have to hit the ball exceedingly hard.
Yes, led.
Oh, Matthew getting frustrated, feels this is a stroke.
7-0.
Well, I think Shorbagy's out of the way there, just in time, around the back of Nick Matthew, where obviously not where his swing is. You just get the feeling that this is mentally and physically tougher for Nick Matthew than it is for Shorbagy. Locked in at 7-all in the second game. And Nick Matthew trying everything possible to get this crucial second game.
It's good weight of line from, oh, that's brilliant. That's corner to corner diagonals. Superb weight of stroke into that front, sorry, into that back right-hand corner, and then the severe kill. Drop shot,
And out.
cutting the ball.
8-7.
The two extremities of his game, the soft hands at the front and the power to the back.
Well, I have to confess that 2 or 3 years ago I didn't really particularly enjoy watching Shorbagy play, but he's grown on me and these days he's one of my favourite players. He really is fantastic. He's got everything.
Well, when you think about the duration so far of this second game, this last period, Nick Matthew has won 1 point. He's won 1 point in just over 10 minutes. He's only scored 1 point in 10 minutes of squash.
9-7.
It's a lot to deal with mentally, that you've only got 1 point in that period of time. So ElShorbagy now opens up the 2-point cushion.
Well, we sensed it, didn't we, Joey? That change of momentum, just as Shorbagy was coming back when he was 6-3 down, I think it was, and we felt that his body language was changing and he was getting himself ready to come back, and he's done it. Obviously, he's still got a little bit to do here. Nick Matthew's not going to go away, but that was a strange choice.
Well, he's just caning it again now on this forehand side. Oh, that's terrible.
Down.
Oh, and that is a gift. What a gift. He plays this very upright, ElShorbagy. We know he can
And
improvise, but Matthew has laid in a loose ball,
8,
and
9.
ElShorbagy's moving off it, standing up on it.
But he likes to do that for disguise, doesn't he? He does that so well on the forehand, but he doesn't usually miss.
That is a gift. Can Matthew utilise this scenario? It's taking plenty of time to serve. 8-9.
This is end-to-end stuff now. That's good width. Oh, that's close to being out.
Just stays in. That last ball stayed in by
a whisker.
A whisker. And you haven't got many of those,
I've
Parky.
got rid of them today.
Really got to see the replay on the one that stayed.
8-9, right box.
Oh my goodness. That just stayed in. Just talking about the physicality there between the two of them. We were seeing the replay while there's a bit of discussion about physicality. ElShorbagy just apologising to Matthew.
Well, it's nice to see that these two guys are very physical, but they don't really get too upset with each other. They've got a lot of respect for each other.
Yeah, but there's a lot to be concentrating on.
Of course, yeah. But you see other players, and the matches getting quite edgy, and there's a lot of conversation. And maybe that's why they're not quite as good as these two.
I think so. It's got to be a pretty massive factor.
Wow.
Oh.
Yes, lad.
Apart from Greg Gautier, who likes to have a little bit of a chat. Current world number 1.
8-9.
What do you think to that one, Parky? Same as the one before, wasn't it, where they gave a let ball?
I think so.
He's going to have a chat. Let's hear what he says.
The problem is you spent your video ref, please play on. Video review, so please play on.
I already used it when you got it wrong
Yeah,
the first
but
time.
you spend it, so the system is you must play now.
I just want to know what I have to do.
Yeah.
So that I don't have to keep something. That's
Room
all.
to play.
Room to play.
Yeah.
Just to get.
That
just
must be the
one
reason.
question.
Please play on.
If I hit him,
Please play on.
if I hit him, is that my
Yeah.
point?
But
Is it? Yeah. I'll have to play it then. I'm sorry if I hit him in advance.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You shouldn't play.
ElShorbagy worried he's going to get hit here.
Well, I mean, it's fine to have a bit of a joke, and he is, but he's keeping his focus. I mean, the crowd, that reverberated, they enjoyed that, but there's a bit of a chat going on. But this is where the mind games are happening.
Well, this is where we were saying
look,
earlier, ElShorbagy doesn't normally rise.
Well, this is well, let's see who hits the best shot after this service.
Same decision, eh?
you ready for play? Thank you.
Well, we'll certainly
Well,
see.
I'll tell you one thing, the ball will be that bit colder, so whoever does go short
8-9.
with accuracy, he's just hit the tin. But that ball has not been hit for a short while, and they change temperature very quickly, so I'm intrigued to see how this rally might pan out. Barely bouncing off the floor there. Oh, it's like a stone.
Well, I can see ElShorbagy going for it here. First opportunity, he's going to take it in. There we go. A little bit high. Certainly wants to move. That's got to be a
Yes,
let.
lad.
That was a very edgy short ball. Matthew hit that quite high above the
8-9.
tin. He didn't want ElShorbagy didn't want ElShorbagy through playing it either. Huge amount of tension, as you'd expect at this point.
Both players taking it pretty early. The pace has gone up. It's heavy striking.
Down.
Wanted to do the low kill. Got scrappy. Matthew played the ball, but didn't play it particularly well. Now ElShorbagy tried to pounce on it.
9
Roll the
all.
wrist over, you see, gets on it quickly to go for the low kill, and the shutout hits the top of the tin. 9-all.
Had to improvise slightly as well, didn't he? Which is always a slight problem. Wow, that's incredible. A bit of a shutout on the return of serve, but
Decision, please.
it was down the middle, the serve.
Yes, lad. Video
Shorbagy's
review.
losing it here a little bit. He's just realised that,
Mr.
well, I'm going a bit mad,
ElShorbagy
but
on the
might as well
yes
just
led
say review.
decision.
Well, he's really tried to shut him out here. It's not the best of serves, but this is a... Let's look at it, because Matthew's going to chat away to the referees. It's a poor serve.
I actually, my original thought was that it is a no-let.
Well, he didn't actually do that much wrong there,
No.
Shorbagy. I mean, he gets overtly moving into it, but it's only he can do that to hit the
He
ball.
has to make space.
He's
for the
making
shot.
space because the ball's coming at him as a service, so he's actually making space to
Yeah.
play the ball.
Completely.
And he's not. He could have really stuck his legs out really wide, and that would have been a block, as it were, in squash terms. He's moved. It's coming in. He wants to hit it on the inside.
Yeah, if that was in a normal rally, an open play, then that would be a no-let.
And it is.
No
there
let.
you go.
Decision overruled.
When you first see that, you know, when it happened at real time, it looked like he'd really made a situation to take Matthew out, but actually he was just coming on the inside and looking to hit it physically. So game ball for a massive 2-love lead. And if he gets this, there'll be a massive yolla.
Well, again, he won't be shy in taking it in. If he gets an opportunity just a few inches off the wall, Shorbagy will go for it because he is a very, very brave player.
Yes, let.
That's a good decision. Good decision.
That's
The ball,
well, it is a let ball. That's a let
ball
ball.
wasn't good enough
No,
for it to be a
it's a
no-let.
let ball.
Not quite.
10-9.
It was hit with a lot of power,
Game
but
ball.
it was bouncing quite short, wasn't it, Joey?
Yeah, no, it was off the sidewall as well. It wasn't accurate. Well, Matthew opens up. Look at that for reaction. Wow! Whoa!
In his face as well.
Well, he nearly broke his foot here. That is
10-all.
ridiculous.
Player to
And
win
then-
by 2 points. Each player has 1 review available.
Wow, that would have hurt.
He's
Parky.
really trying to get himself psyched up,
Well,
isn't he? And
well, he's
and
not
it's
getting
happening.
himself psyched up. I mean, that was ridiculous. His eyes went back and his mouth was massive, shouting his head off there. But more importantly, kicking the glass sidewall. Could have done himself some damage, but he's managed to take this to a tie break. 10-all. Drama continues.
Out.
And he squeezed and out. So Matthew showing really hard-nosed, experienced squash here. Serves
11-10.
with his first game ball opportunity. He's trying to rein his eyes in.
Yes, let. $11-10. Game ball.
Well, he talks about in his book all these different modes, the psychology, the warrior mode, and the probably that was the slightly psychotic mode.
well, it
Killer
was
mode.
at least warrior mode.
It was the killer mode. That was definitely the killer mode.
Yeah, I think he's trying to get the crowd into it as well. The crowd are really enjoying it, but sometimes at this level of squash, people are just sat there enjoying it, but in amazement. And I think the players really love it when the crowd get
Oh, he's got the whip.
involved. And here we go,
Whoa, this is
Shorbagy
really-
getting involved.
This is amazing. This is like two wrestlers playing to the crowd here.
11-all.
WWF in America. Squash players are becoming great actors.
The only difference is this isn't scripted.
No, it's certainly not scripted. Not even yours is scripted. 11-all. Just going back to the crowd, Simon. I think it's they're kind of transfixed, aren't they?
Absolutely.
do love it though.
And that has to be a no-let.
No let.
He's taking his space there,
Video
Shorbagy.
review, please. Mr. Matthew on the no let
Loose shot
decision.
from Nick Matthew.
The length of the ball was too good.
What are we going to do about the blocking though?
Yeah, but the ball was too good.
Yeah, but
He was too far away, but we see what's the
Well, I don't
You
think that's a
don't, though,
block.
that's
He's
the
just virtually stood still. Nick Matthew has to go around the back of Shorbagy if he wants to go and get that
One
ball.
player blocking, one player
He's
trying to
made
play
the
the ball.
decision to go to the side, which was the wrong decision at that
It's
point.
going well, this referee thing, eh? Really well.
What do you think?
Well, it's his shot to play, ElShorbagy. Definitely his shot to play.
decision upheld.
But you also,
Matthew has
I mean,
no
this
review
is where you get the middle
remaining.
ground because it's his shot to play, so therefore Matthew needs to go around and play the ball, but then he also needs to give access.
Of course, and
So-
I think we've both been in Nick Matthew's position there, and it's extremely frustrating when you know you've not got a chance to run.
Well, that's going to be a
shot.
stroke.
Stroke to Matthew, and out.
And the crowd cheering that, so the crowd are starting to respond. Even a smile from Nick Matthews' wife. Slightly terrified. 12 all in this hugely entertaining second game.
Well, Esme Matthews expecting the first child in September. Hopefully she doesn't get so excited that she gives birth tonight. It is tough when you're watching squash. You've got to be quiet for so long through these rallies, and as you say, they are transfix the crowd, and then you've only got a short amount of time to go mad for these athletes.
Oh.
That's loose from Matthew going forward. He's got to tighten up a little bit. Keeps clipping that sidewall.
Stroke to Matthew.
He's looking for Shorbagy there.
Well, he's got it, he's playing the
Video
rules.
review, please.
He's going to get a video review. We've had 32 minutes so far for this second game alone. Let's have a look at this video review. The original decision being a stroke. Matthew's got as much time as he wants to play it.
Yeah, I think it's right. It's correct. It is a stroke.
That's going to be a stroke, yeah. Shorbagy would do the same in that position.
Yeah, he's getting a bit fed up, Nick Matthew, as well. With the,
He doesn't
with the
usually do that.
decisions.
He doesn't
Yeah,
usually exaggerate.
that's
He's doing that,
That's true.
Stroke.
as you said,
Decision
because of
upheld.
feeling hard done by a lot of decisions.
ElShorbagy has no review
Fighting
remaining.
fire with fire.
13-12 game ball.
So it's now Matthew's turn in this seesaw second game to try and close out this game ball and take us into an equal footing for a third.
That was close to getting a nick in the back there. You see the shot between the legs. Oh, what a
Shut him out. So
drive.
Matthew using all his experience, getting the crowd to raise the roof here in Hull. Let some sunshine into the building. Well, battle of two titans, 33 minutes for an epic second. Matthew takes it 14-12. It's one game all.
Well, Nick Matthew seemed to be running away with this game early on, going to an early 6-3 and I think 7-3 lead, but Mohamed ElShorbagy got a bit of momentum and stopped Nick Matthew scoring for an extremely long time in this game. But Nick Matthew got his mettle and showed how strong he is mentally, came back in this game and brought it to a fantastic tie-break in the end. Absolutely fascinating. The crowd were transfixed, myself and Joey were transfixed. You can see the aggression, the passion there from Nick Matthew. Mohamed ElShorbagy still fighting, showing some passion of his own. This match with some incredible tension. And ultimately, it's one game apiece.
So Matthew stripped down. David Pearson getting more animated, as he should be, really. Matthew certainly better when he's got a bit of fire in him. He needs that bit extra edge really. Absolutely nothing on him. So lean and strong. Strength to weight ratio sport. Wiry beyond belief, Matthew. Kind of got the coat hanger shoulders on him.
"15 seconds. Take your seats, please. Time. Players on court, please. Players on court, please.
So both players on court. Really intrigued to see how this third game now pans out, the early stages. There's been a huge amount of emotion after the 2-minute calm down in between games.
One game all. Matthew serving, love all.
Well, we really have a match on our hands now, Joey. It's all to play for, and it's fantastic really that Nick's won that second game, because I think if Shorbagy had taken it, it could have been one-way traffic.
Central,
Yeah.
possibly, yeah.
Two left.
That's
ElShorbagy not
Roulette.
hanging around in the early stage. He's trying to get a quick lead out of Matthew, isn't he?
He is stepping up the
left.
court a little bit, really being sprightly and buzzing around that mid-court line. That's good recovery from Nick Matthew. And Shorbagy got that, I think. I'm pretty sure he got that. He just reacted to a strange bounce. Nick Matthew not complaining, so I'm sure this was good. We'll see here on the replay. Just a funny bounce, yeah.
Yeah, no, he got it. Managed to get it on his knee.
It's great reactions and flexibility and ability to adapt.
Oh, that's severe by ElShorbagy, and what a response after that marathon second game. He's come out all guns blazing here.
That shot was a little bit Nick Matthew-esque as well, just turning his shoulders, making it look like a cross court, slamming it straight down the wall. Same shot.
Touché!
Nick Matthew just pointing out that I played that shot before you.
1-4.
While you were in nappies.
They'd have been very big nappies.
Yes, lad. Mr. ElShorbagy, please make more effort to clear. Please do it.
So the central referee telling ElShorbagy to make more effort to
1-4.
clear the ball.
Well, I don't think he is blocking Joey. I think he's getting a few opportunities where
Yes, lad.
he's quite within his rights to
1-4.
take his space and play the shot. change of direction there from Nick Matthew. I think he was clear there.
Stroke to ElShorbagy.
It's borderline, but there was
And out.
there was a loose shot
5-1.
from Nick Matthew. And it just shows the resilience of the young Egyptian player, that he can lose such a marathon second game and really pull back with such ferocity in the third. Nothing really phases him, does it, Joey?
No, that's why he's one of the many elements that's got to hit him where he is already and beyond, which is just a matter of time.
Down.
Just catching the top of the tin, Matthew. So the lead of ElShorbagy looking really quite healthy as he serves
6-1.
at 6-1.
The other thing is, Joey, when you look at close up on Shorbagy's face, he doesn't look particularly tired. And that's a brutal second game, and that's great control again, reading the game of Nick Matthew perfectly, stepping across,
7-1.
as you see, again, a Nick Matthew-like shot, that forehand, right-footed volley. That's a good touch from Nick Matthew, and again, nice soft hands there on those backhand drop shots. Two, one
And
from the
out.
back and then one further forward,
2-7.
really pulling Shorbagy up the court. And that's the shot we were talking about earlier. That's Mohamed
And
ElShorbagy,
out.
his signature shot in my view.
8-2.
Coming in with a high, very high forehand backswing and just decelerating on the drop shot. So hard to read.
Down.
And the errors are coming thick and fast now from Nick Matthew.
9-2.
Well, this third game could end up being around about 8 minutes in duration.
It's sort of a bit of a message, I think, as to who it
Stroke to Matthew.
hurt that second game more of the two players,
And
and it
out.
seems the younger player has come out a
3-9.
lot stronger mentally and physically. As you look at his face there, he just doesn't look that tired.
No.
It's always worrying when you look at your opponent and they're not suffering too much, when you feel awful inside. You always try and hide it, of course, as best you can. The problem for me these days is it's absolutely impossible to hide it.
It's a lot more of you. Well, that's the width that you need to get past the wingspan of Matthew.
And out.
Crunched
10,
by ElShorbagy.
3, game ball.
So the Egyptian blitzing through this third, 7 game balls. And there's the outright winner.
11-3, game ElShorbagy.
A wealth of confidence
ElShorbagy
coming
leads
from the young
2
Egyptian.
games to 1.
So in this first semi-final, just 7 minutes under the 8-minute mark, 11-3. ElShorbagy now leads by 2 games to 1.
Well, it was completely obvious here who came out better from that 33-minute second game marathon. Mohamed ElShorbagy went flying off, unbelievably confident, buzzing around that mid-court line, not giving Nick Matthew any chances. Mohamed ElShorbagy incredibly strong, not looking tired in any shape or form, physically or mentally, using fantastic skill and forcing errors from the racket of Nick Matthew. And a fantastic winner of his own to finish the third game. 2-1, Shorbagy.
So the Matthew family looking slightly nervous as we sweep over to the man in charge, Nick Matthew. A lot of work to do here ElShorbagy will go from strength to strength. You saw the response of the Egyptian in that third game. It's got to be a big wound to try and deal with for Matthew there, in the way it was done as well.
Absolutely, yeah, 11-3 in not many minutes, but Nick Matthew is so resilient, as we know. And David Pearson and Nick have been working for many, many years. He'll be giving him some top advice.
15 seconds.
Not sure what I would say to Nick Matthew at this point.
Well, he needs, without being too obvious, he needs to get in front of ElShorbagy somehow, whether it's using excessive height and keeping the ball very tight to the sidewall. He's got to get in front of him. ElShorbagy's in dictating what's going on, and he's able now, when he goes into this mode of the short, sharp play, accumulate very, very quick points. I think he's got to come out being very aggressive, Nick Matthew.
But do you think he can outpower Shorbagy? I'm not sure he can. I think Shorbagy is just the most powerful player on the circuit. I was just thinking about there that Nick Matthew, potentially you were right, to find a way to get past him, maybe use a little bit more disguise and hold to actually get it past him.
Yeah, I mean, the subtleties definitely, but I do think you need to kind of attack Shorbagy, whether it be on a length or a short ball. You actually have to be a bit more of an aggressor. When he sits back, ElShorbagy starts doing all sorts, and then he gets further and further and back in the court, Matthew. I think for his natural game, Nick Matthew is to play at a very fast pace and very physical, and that's his kind of primitive, that's his inherent element, and he's got to try and extract that somehow. Again, physically he might not be able to do it, but there's got to be something, otherwise it's going to be lights out.
I absolutely agree with you. Shorbagy just looking more and more confident as this match goes on. Well, that is into the bottom, well, not even the bottom of the tin, Joey, that was into the floor.
Well, what was interesting was he did take a huge amount of pace off of that, Matthew, but kept it nicely into the sidewall. And ElShorbagy generating the pace, but mistiming it dreadfully.
Well, it's a very basic level. We're always told as juniors, if you're playing a really hard-hitting play, you always try and slow them down, don't you? But it's a little bit more complicated than that at this level.
It is, and also just slightly. And on this glass court, you give your opponent that opportunity to hit a very good length or short ball. It's very hard to get back with interest.
Yeah,
it's unforgiving.
And as I was saying earlier, that is not Nick Matthew's style. He doesn't want to go too far away from his style and out of his comfort zone. But this is what Shorbagy does so well. He takes you out of your comfort zone, and it's not a very nice place to be. It's a horrendous place to be.
Well,
when
it makes the court. It makes the court massive.
3-1.
It makes that space so big when he's like this. ElShorbagy taking no prisoners here at all.
Down.
And there's an unforced error. The points accumulating quickly, Parky. The rallies are a lot shorter.
4-1.
4-1.
Well, it's a long time since I've seen Nick Matthew make this many mistakes. On unforced errors, you have to say. Although there's a general forcing going on, but in those isolated areas, they would go down as unforced errors. Oh, he's just everywhere, Shorbagy here. He's even sneaking up behind him. Nick Matthews getting in front, and Shorbagy's still taking the ball.
Well,
early.
that is quite beautiful from Nick Matthew. So many shots could have been outright winners to normal squash players. Shorbagy getting them back time and time again, and look at that. What balance.
2-4.
So stretched out, but the balance and control from Matthew's racket head, perhaps that could be the shot that will give him some confidence here.
Well, the first forehand volley drop was pretty special, wasn't it? But Shorbagy managed to get that, but the second one on the backhand was just sublime.
He's done well to get that.
That was good touch from Nick Matthew. Ran it in very tight, and Shorbagy moving so well. We talk about his hitting, but his retrieving abilities are just phenomenal.
Well, this is like a routine.
I can't believe he got that ball back, Joey. He had to dig it out. It was so deep.
He's back on the tee line now, Shorbagy.
Well, there's the fan shot on the backhand.
Conceding it down, so acknowledged by Matthew. The crowd roaring. They should. They really should. Being treated to some superb squash, as you'd expect at this stage of a tournament. So Matthew starts to pull back the lead at 3-4.
Well, he's done well here, Nick Matthew, because Shorbagy was running away with it a little bit in the beginning of this fourth. But Nick Matthew just extending the last couple of rallies.
Dean. Yes, lad. Yeah, you were still in the way.
No, I didn't.
Yes, yes,
His ball was
yes. 3-4.
I just hit my shot.
Yeah, but I said it before to you. Please clear better.
So the central referee again telling ElShorbagy to clear a bit more to let Matthew through to play the ball.
Down.
Well, Shorbagy pointing to his head. It's a fine line between forcing it and taking the initiative.
4.
And only Mohamed ElShorbagy can know when to play either in this environment at this time.
Well, you could see that shot was potentially on its, you know what it's like, Joe. You're on there in the heat of battle. It's just so tempting, isn't it, just to get that cheap point, especially when you've been playing quite a lot of winners throughout the match. But Nick Matthews got the bit between his teeth here, and he's not going away.
That's going to be a stroke.
He's taking me to the ball.
Five.
Yeah,
4.
that's a stroke ball.
But that's the same problem. You're not clearing.
Yeah, because he's not letting
Yes.
me. He's taking me
It's
with
your
him.
fault. Play on.
Well, Ralph being very diplomatic there. Nice tone of voice, just signifying that it's ElShorbagy's fault. Good old Ralph. Ralph Heidenberg.
Raise the eyebrows there from Shorbagy. Taking it pretty well.
Down.
Well, he's gone a little bit walkabout here, Mohamed ElShorbagy. He's talking to himself. He's looking up. I don't know what he's doing. He's just being busy.
I think there was an insect, some sort of...
No, the ball went out of court.
Right box. 6-4.
Oh, Nick Matthew signifying to the Shorbagy corner, not to coach, saying it's wrong. Well, this is... it's all happening here, Parky.
It is. Nick Matthews just trying to get right inside the mind of Shorbagy. He's not been able to do it so far, but it's just getting to him a little bit now, especially when he had that lead early on. It's now 6-4 down, Shorbagy. Well, there's a big come on. from Shorbagy. That was good from this position to play a winner.
It was far back. The angle was there for Shorbagy, but he was far back in the court. We're up to 70 minutes for this first semi-final.
Down.
Well, topsy-turvy.
6-0.
Well, they get Nick Matthew trying to force it, now like Shorbagy was earlier on that little forehand boast. Both of them just clipping the tin.
Down.
It's another unforced error. Wasn't the best
And
of volley drops here from Matthew at all. ElShorbagy had so many options. See it here, it's high, and he's coming in at pace.
Well, the best option there was straight down the wall, wasn't it? Because Nick Matthews' position was slightly going right.
Well, it's that pattern. He always looks for that cross-court option. This ball's starting to stay further in the corners now.
Well, that was the wrong shot again by Shorbagy. It was in front of Nick Matthew, but that's great retrieving.
That's brilliant.
That world
is
champion.
Absolutely superb from Matthew. Well, this is battle of the forehand canings.
Well, Shorbagy trying to knock the front wall down there. Or at least hit the ball through the wall. Well, he's read that, Nick Matthew. Not many players would have seen. That's great touch on the backhand.
Oh, this is superb. This is such brilliant squash.
This is a real treat, isn't it, Joey? Great position here in the commentary box. And look at this. Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's an absolute ripper of a rally. Gut-wrenching for ElShorbagy. This is the first time in the whole tournament that Mohamed ElShorbagy has been hit out physically. That was hard. Very, very hard. He's been taken
8-6.
really quite hard there, ElShorbagy. That was a blowout and a half. Matthew is digging deep beyond belief, but ElShorbagy's actually got what we call a bit of heart embarrassment and oxygen depth for the first time, I would say, in this tournament.
Absolutely, you can see there, you can see on his face, he's starting to get a little bit tired, and he's 2 points down. I mean, that was a ridiculous rally.
Yes, lad.
Unless my eyes are deceiving me, ElShorbagy's obviously starting to get fatigued now, as you'd expect. But for some bizarre reason, Nick Matthew seems to be getting a bit stronger. Am I hallucinating, or is that true?
I think you might be right, and I think that's down to, as you alluded to, Nick Matthews' just incredible determination. He's digging deep in the well, isn't he? I mean, he has a lion heart. He's been in this situation so many times. I just don't know how he does it, though. He's such a phenomenal competitor. And he will be hurting. He's hurting, but psychologically, he's just thinking push, 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 because he's got the 2 point cushion, and he knows his younger opponent is going to get a bit confused here.
He's getting more physical, Matthew. He's starting to look stronger in the middle centre area on the tee. And ElShorbagy's starting to flap at a few balls.
9-6.
So Matthew moves to 9-6, tolerating a lot of discomfort, Nick Matthew. Extraordinary, Parky, absolutely extraordinary.
It's just wonderful stuff. Feels so privileged to be watching this match, and it's such a big match as well. Semi-finals of the British Open, and that's perfect weighted shot. You would have enjoyed that one, Joey. It was just second bounce in the nick, not overdoing it.
7,
See,
9.
no chance for Nick Matthew. Knew where it was going, but it was always going away from him.
That's going to be a stroke.
Stroke to Matthew.
What ElShorbagy was doing.
10,
He
7.
actually asked for a let then. I think
Game
he
ball.
said something like please or... Anyway, that stroke, and he deserves it, this position. 3 game balls to take this into a thrilling 5th.
Down.
He's done it, Matthew has done it.
11-7.
Matthew has taken this game
2 games all.
into a 5th. What a performance by the Wolf in that 4th game. Tenacious beyond belief. 77 minutes in duration, a 15-minute 4th game. Matthew takes it 11-7. It's 2 games all.
Well, this is a tremendous example of mental strength here from the 3 times world champion. Shorbagy took an early lead in this game, but Nick Matthew started to gain momentum, and really you could see that he was making a push. Shorbagy tapping his head there, not really understanding what had happened, getting a little bit confused, but Nick Matthew showing all the experience he's gained over the years. Obviously he has more experience than his younger opponent, but Nick Matthew, a warrior spirit, a lion heart, and he just shows why he is 3 times world champion. 2 games all.
Well, Parky, you've got the, I always like to go on about the boxing days of like the Muhammad Ali, all those, the Thriller in Manila and the Rumble in the Jungle. We've got the Humdinger in Hull here.
That's going to stick, that, Joey. I like that one.
So ElShorbagy gets another fresh T-shirt on. Pretty much had one for every game. Matthew still standing upright. He looks so much more alive now.
Well, David Pearson can't get a word in edgeways there.
Well, that's not a surprise. He's just there to make up the numbers, really. Matthew pretty much talks at anyone. But he looks alive now. The eyes are open. Obviously he's got renewed vigour because he's come back and he's taken this into a 5th. But the energy levels look so much better for Matthew.
Well, I'm glad his eyes are open, because that's pretty important at this stage.
But you know what I mean? I say about they're wide. They can, you know, the adrenaline's obviously surging through.
He's very alert, and he's really excited now about this 5th. The momentum's with Nick Matthew, isn't it?
Because he loves this situation. He has made, as you said, he's got so much experience. He's been in so many brutal matches. He's got so much experience with that. But he does enjoy the perverse side of which we all do with squash, where you actually get reduced to this. He really thrives in this environment. So, I mean,
well, he's pulled himself back from the brink.
Well, I mean, he's being so pleasant. He's obviously so happy because he given ElShorbagy his racket, which is something to be believed, and doing a few more stretches. But he's alive now. He is alive as we approach this 5th game.
That's right. And it's
look at him. But look at him. He's doing this bouncing and everything.
And it's down to Shorbagy
it's all
to get
psychological as well, because he's actually
absolutely.
And this is what he does. He starts doing these lunges. He did this to Gregory Gaultier, and Gregory Gaultier, after he played Canary Wharf with James Willstrop, a 2-hour match where Willstrop had to concede due to cramp. Gregory Gaultier's head nearly came off. He didn't know what to do. He expected Matthew to be absolutely exhausted, which he was, but he hid it. But he's doing exactly the same antics here. So ElShorbagy is actually trying to work out what's going on.
Well, it's up to the younger player now to really respond. How can he respond here in this 5th game of this semi-finals of British Open?
What are you going to call it, Parky? It's the...
Down.
The Humdinger in Hull.
That's what it is.
definitely going to stick that.
1 love.
And psychologically, the first point, quite massive, and it came off an error.
Quite a quick one too as well. Nothing like the longer rallies that we've been seeing during this epic encounter.
Down.
And again, Nick Matthew onto that ball early, just setting his stall out, sending a message out
2 love.
to his younger opponent. Now Shorbagy doesn't look like he's panicking. He just still looks a little bit lost as to what's gone wrong with the tactics or what he needs to do here. I think he's a little bit confused.
Oh, he's read that. Oh, he's got away with it. ElShorbagy's got away with an absolute gift. That's why he looks up to the rafters there. Matthew guessed,
And out.
and then the loose ball, not able to improvise that.
1,
Not many
2.
people could. It was a bizarre situation to be in. But what a bit of luck for ElShorbagy. Can he utilise it, Parky?
Well, both players seem to have renewed vigour. Shorbagy, as I said, looked a little bit confused mentally, but he seems to have come out of the break physically quite well. That's an incredible lunge there. But and just swerving the ball there. It's like a game of dodgeball.
Down.
So 2 unforced errors. ElShorbagy back in this.
The swerve there, Joey.
2 all.
That was
Great flexibility. Well, we have total parity. 2 games all, 2 points all in this 5th.
And what is it, Parky?
The humdinger in Hull.
Absolutely nothing between them here.
Yes, lad.
Well, my problem is, what are we going to call the next one if this
2-all.
goes to
Well,
finals?
if the next one, is a one-way affair, it'll be the hounding in Hull.
I prefer the first one.
Well, obviously. I just thought of that off the top of my head, but so I'm sure I'll come up with something else. But it's got to start with an H, isn't it?
Absolutely. This is interesting now, Joey. Both players just slowing it down. Bit of old school squash down that back of the wall, keeping it tight.
Well, that's a shutout and a half. Matthew just
Yes, lad.
Being nice again,
Oh.
helping him up.
Well, he won't be now.
There was an interference in the middle and the ball was
Will he
not there.
review this though? It's early on. I think he should
What's
because
on
I
this?
don't think this is. I think this is a no let, but I think he won't review to kind of keep his.
Yeah, you've got to be very tactical with your reviews, especially at this point in the 5th game. I mean, I would give a let there. I often favour the player trying to get through to the ball, as long as they make plenty of effort, which he did.
He does actually catch his foot. We see it here.
2-all.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I think that's the right decision. Hence no review. Yeah, that was a big trip. Sorry.
Stroke to Matthew.
Quite a scrappy
And out.
beginning to this 5th game. Bit of edginess. I mean,
3-2.
Mohamed ElShorbagy's twitching. His eyes start to go. To twitch all over the place.
Yeah, there's just so much tension here now. You could hear a pin drop in this audience. Ellery Hanley doesn't know where to look, and he's certainly had a few pressure situations in his career.
Well, he
Gosh.
does like to play that shot, but that is wild. It's a
4-2.
wild shot to play at this stage.
Well, we talk about Shorbagy being incredibly streetwise, especially for his age and
4-2,
his
yes.
experience, which is quite short, obviously, compared to Nick Matthew, but he's still very young. But that's quite a silly shot there.
All four of Matthew's points. One has been a stroke. 3 have been unforced errors by ElShorbagy.
Well, I think it's a slight lack of experience in these sort of situations. Obviously,
Hand out.
Nick Matthews had a lot more of these,
3-4.
but all the time. Shorbagy is gaining experience.
At a very quick rate.
Seems strange to talk about him like that when he's in the top 4 in the world, but he's gaining that experience at the very, very
It's
top
another
level.
stroke.
Now.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's not one of the points now from Matthew that have been from
5-3.
a pressure situation from Matthew. It's all on the head of ElShorbagy here.
Well, Shorbagy hasn't played well now for at least 10 minutes, I think, which has given Matthew a slight advantage. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful forehand volley from Nick Matthew. Loves that shot, doesn't he? You can see he read the cross court from
6-3.
Shorbagy, leapt onto the volley forehand.
Oh, half the crowd look like they're biting their fingers there. So tense.
Well, you very rarely
Well, it's
see
another stroke.
another stroke. You very rarely see Nick Matthew lose from this sort of situation.
This is quite brilliant. We predicted against Nick Matthew. Again, this is still far from over, but the
7-3.
momentum is hugely with the Englishman. He does prove pretty much everyone wrong time and time again, Matthew, with his track record.
Well, this point is crucial now. It's so crucial.
Stroke to Matthew.
And he's lost another stroke. He's going to review.
Video review, please, Mr. ElShorbagy on the
I mean,
stroke
we
decision.
immediately think, well, that's a poor shot, but we need to look at where the players are standing here at the point of where the impact would have been.
It's tight on Matthew here. Wow. I think that might stay as a stroke, Parky.
Yeah, I agree with you, Joey. It's quite close to the swing. Very close to the swing, and if he wants to play a boast there, he's gonna hit him with his
Stroke.
swing, and
Decision
very
upheld.
dangerous.
Mr. ElShorbagy has no review remaining. Left box, please. 8-3.
Well, I think it's safe to say that Nick Matthew is in the zone here. You can see he's not talking to anyone. He's so focused, bouncing the ball slowly and deliberately before each serve. Well, that's the first bit of quality we've seen from Shorbagy for a long time.
It is, and it's certainly the first bit in this 5th game.
Hand out. 4-8. That's led. 4-8.
Brilliant retrieving here from Shorbagy, and he's
No
got
let.
all those balls back, but he's been given a no let here, and I think that was possibly one of the easiest ones to pick up.
And out.
Wonderful flexibility.
9-4.
I'm convinced he could have reached that, Joey.
Well, he'll be furious. He was getting huge amounts back. He was going into that area of the court. It took one step really for ElShorbagy to get that ball back. But it's in the past, and the present is 9-4 for Matthew.
Fantastic improvisation there from the shot down the middle. Intentional shot down the middle from Matthew.
I think he's fine, absolutely fine.
Yeah, I think he just got clonked by the handle there, not particularly
okay?
the racket head.
Oh no, is that blood?
Not really.
I think he's got blood on his mouth. Is he?
I can't see. Well, he's just checking with ElShorbagy there. He's asking, I think it's David Pearson, if there's any blood there.
Yes, lad.
I thought there was a cut on his lip, but where did that hit him? That's weird. I think that hit him on the
Top
back of the head.
Yeah.
So why is he checking his mouth?
Yes.
It's bizarre. It was on the back of the head he got hit, wasn't it? But he's rubbing his mouth here. Let's have a look. So the impact, he comes through. Oh, elbow to the head. It's fine, but at one stage I thought he had like a bloodied lip.
He may have accidentally bitten his tongue as he got elbowed in the head.
I wouldn't like to be bitten by Nick Matthew.
9-4.
He's got a fair bite on him, that's for sure. The old Nashes, but anyway, after that stoppage, Matthew serves from the right at 9-4. Does love that shot, ElShorbagy. He rolls the wrist, snaps it through, the low kill.
And out. 5-9.
He's hit 2 winners, outright winners only in this 5th game, ElShorbagy.
Down.
And there, gets a weight of strokes, so he responds.
6-9.
One more point and it gets very interesting, Parky.
Well, that was pretty impressive on that backhand, wasn't it? High up, he got the perfect length, and Nick Matthew was in front of him at the point of impact. But yeah, as you say, very crucial now at this point. Of course, if he loses it, he's match ball down. 7-9 seems very, very different. Matthew not taking any risks. That ball came right at him, just clipping it off the frame. Nick Matthew, no, that's good. Taking it in nice and low. This is ridiculous, Joey.
Stroke to ElShorbagy.
Oh, I think that's harsh.
That is harsh. He did actually ask this. He asked this so early.
On the stroke decision.
I don't think it even hit the front wall when
he asked this beyond early. He knew exactly what he wanted here, ElShorbagy. This is a sign of how streetwise he is. Squeezed the ball well here, so he's gone short. Matthew is cleared. There's no way that that is a stroke. Now this gets interesting because it's either a stroke or a no let, and it's not a stroke. So are they going to go middle ground and say yes let? But I mean,
I think they will, yeah.
That is not a stroke though. The whole front wall is there to hit.
Yeah, he could have cross-courted that to any
Well, they've
point.
taken the middle ground. At this stage of the match, they've taken the middle ground.
That could have been... Can you imagine the reaction?
Well, if he'd have reviewed that, which he did review that, and it goes against him as a...
Left side, 6-9.
I think he got that. Shorbagy's
We play a
going
lot
mental
about the
here.
pickup.
Unbelievable! 2 decisions!
My first thought was he got the ball.
But we're not sure. That's possible.
Let's have a look at this one.
9.
Oh, it's a massive double. That was a huge double.
Yeah, it just clipped the floor on the second bounce there,
That
didn't it?
was a
But
huge double.
A game before, he has half the bet
So
call.
difficult to
Sorry
see
about
live.
it.
You can see on video.
That was a big double. That was down. That was down.
Left side, left side, left side.
That was
Chirping
down.
away, Nick Matthew.
That was down. Well, it was down, Parky.
Yeah.
You'd have gone bonkers. Well, most of us would have gone bonkers.
6.
That was down.
Yes, let.
That really
6,
was.
9.
So anyway, Mohamed ElShorbagy's got out of jail. He's got to let ball.
There are times in those sort of situations when you don't actually know that it's still a bounce, do you?
Well, if you're ducking your head
Yeah.
and you're going in, which you used to do a lot, and you're moving at that speed, but that was pretty apparent. Look at the increase in tempo. It's like the sprint finish to a 1500 meter race now.
Well, it's incredible to watch. It's so tense.
Well, sprint finish to a marathon, more like.
That's a clever
Well, he's
shot.
shut him out. He's used his physicality. ElShorbagy is pulling out all the stops here.
Yeah, the trailing leg there.
Trailing
you see.
leg. He's really
7,
made himself big
9.
on the tee line.
And Nick Matthew was
So that
really
is-
unhappy with that.
Well, he really did take his space there.
Mr.
You saw that
ElShorbagy.
trailing leg
Mr.
Parky.
ElShorbagy, that was definitely a no lead, but please move clear.
So Ralph Heidenberg just reiterating that fact that he does need to clear the ball. He said it to ElShorbagy a few times throughout this. 7-9.
That's the wrong shot there from Nick Matthew. Had the open space with a straight shot.
Yes, let.
Yeah, he's. This is so interesting how it changes on a whim, Parky.
7,
Because
9.
ElShorbagy was subdued for the whole of this fifth game, and then once he started to get a bit closer to Matthew, he's rejuvenated, and you can kind of, it's like Matthew's slightly hanging on, and it's ElShorbagy that's going for him now. It's gone backwards and forwards.
So psychological. Obviously, there's a massive physical element here to squash at this level, but so much between the ears now, isn't it? Well, we've almost had 100 minutes of scintillating squash, and we're at the business end of this match.
Oh, he's shut in. The rallies have been getting longer and longer. We're over 100 minutes now for this semi-final, and Nick Matthew snarls away as he serves with 3
Hand
match
out.
balls.
10,
Wow.
7.
Well, it's
match
so
ball.
accurate, so level-headed under pressure there, giving himself a match ball. Shorbagy talking to himself, talking to his team. What can he do to pull back, change the momentum against a 3 times world champion?
Oh, just stayed in. I don't know if he's broken a string.
It didn't sound quite right, Joey. I think he may have just hit the frame. Oh, that's how did he get that ball
I don't know
off?
how he got it wide.
And near mortal, that would have been game over. Still going. ElShorbagy fighting for his life. Matthew desperate to see this talented young Egyptian off. Oh, what a rally! I am beside myself.
Superb! Superb! One
hand
match
out.
ball saved.
Are you okay, Joey? Because my heart is going 10 to the dozen here.
10,
I'm going to need help
match
after
ball.
this game.
You will need help. My heart's a lot stronger.
You're a bit younger than me.
Down.
Oh, he's done it! Nick Matthew has pulled it out the
11-8.
bag once
Game
again.
Matthew
His
wins.
book is called
3,
Sweating Blood.
2,
Nick Matthew has sweated
4-11,
pint loads of
12,
blood in this semi-final.
14-12,
What a
11-3,
battle and a half.
11-7.
They can smile now, or Matthew can certainly smile now. That is quite outrageous by Matthew. He looks very drawn. Well, we're going to hear an interview somehow with Nick Matthew and Andy Kay.
That turned out to be an absolute epic.
Yeah. Just give another round of applause just while I get my breath for Mohamed.
We will take very short answers, but where does that victory stand in your career? What a match.
Did I win? No, I was running on fumes there for the last 2 hours of that match, and it only lasted an hour and a half. So the guy's he's a hell of a player, and I don't know how many more wins I'm going to get over him, so I've got to save them. He's an unbelievable player, and a bit like sort of when I play Greg, we fight on there, but you know, afterwards there's so much respect. We just both want the same thing, so you're not going to be best of friends all the time. You're not going to be best of friends with the refs all the time. Sorry guys, but you know, we're trying so hard. The adrenaline's pumping. It's a couple of egos as well. Surprise, surprise. But I mean, the pace was relentless and just a bit of a blur, and really lucky to get it at the end. I think there was a couple, maybe Mohamed, that slight double bounce there, and then the next point I'll own up, I double hit it, but he took one, so I took one, and that's even. So, but you know, we said that when we shook hands, we said, yeah, we're both fair players. We know that sometimes we go a little bit too far, and I think we both took a dodgy one, so we can both hold our hands up, I think, and say at the end there we let ourselves down on a couple, but hopefully that didn't overshadow a great match.
It certainly didn't. And so you go through to another British Open final where you have a pretty impressive success rate.
Yeah, you know, well, of course, I can't think about that now. You know, I think Greg said that he hopes they play till tomorrow morning, and hopefully everyone can actually go home now because Hull are playing in the FA Cup. So don't bother watching this next one, guys, and let me know who wins.
Do you want to know the score, by the way? 2-1 to Hull at the moment. But a very quick line about the final. Rami or Greg, any thoughts?
No, I mean, I just have to sort of concentrate on my own recovery. All I know is the crowd were amazing today. Thanks, guys. Genuinely, you were very supportive of both players, not just myself, so thank you. And I know a lot of Hull are at Wembley or in Manchester at the rugby, so thanks for still coming and supporting our great sport, and hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks very much.
Yeah, here's your British Open finalist, ladies and gentlemen, Nick Matthew.
Wow, Matthew just being congratulated there by Omar El-Borolossi, the Egyptian national coach. And there is very happy wife who's been through the ringer pregnant lady watching that. That's no good. 102 minutes for what was quite an epic semi-final, a humdinger in Hull. Nick Matthew overcomes the rising danger, Mohamed ElShorbagy, 4-11, 14-12, 3-11, 11-7, 11-8, 3 games to 2.
Well, it was a humdinger in Hull. It was a classic. It was epic. All of the words that you want to use. It was just what we wanted after last night. Fantastic squash from both players. We were always on the edge of our seats. The crowd were loving it. It's one of the best matches I've ever seen. 2 players, one the 3 times world champion, full of experience against the rising danger, as we call him. And it had everything, this match. It ebbed and flowed, but it just shows the heart and the will and determination of Nick Matthew. He's a wonderful English athlete. We should be so proud of him. And there you see the relief of Nick Matthews in another British Open final, another chance to win this great title.
Well, I'm just looking at Simon Park now next to me, and he has a bit more of a sheen, but he actually is 4 stone lighter, which is quite extraordinary because you did look slightly generous around there. But what a
Thanks,
match,
Joey.
Parky. sorry, Parky. It's just my nervous reaction of just after that match, just bludgeoning you with insults. But that was a humdinger in Hull.
I'm used to it.
We betted both against Nick Matthew there. He writes people off all the time. The level that Shorbagy's been playing coming into this, the fact that Matthew looked a bit dubious in the early rounds, and again, it's a semi-final. Nick Matthew produces the goods when it counts. That's why he has the track record he has, and 10 years between them, you wouldn't have thought it.